Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin. Peter Parker. Peter Parker is a good student and a loyal friend, but he has a secret. Harry Osborn. Peter's best friend is Harry Osborn. The Green Goblin. The Green Goblin is Spider-Man's newest enemy. He has a secret too. Spider-Man. Harry doesn't know Peter's secret. Peter is Spider-Man. Harry, why weren't you at school? Peter Parker asked his best friend, Harry Osborn. There was an accident at Oscorp where my father works, said Harry. Peter, my father was hurt, and now he is missing. Peter left Harry's house. I promised Harry I'd help find his father, said Peter. I just didn't tell him I'd help as Spider-Man. Spidey swung on a web toward Oscorp, but suddenly he heard a cry. Help! Someone help me! Spider-Man saw a man lying on the ground. He swung down to see what happened. It was horrible, cried the man. A creepy green guy swooped down on a flying glider. He hit me and stole my money. In my line of work, I see a lot of creepy green guys, said Spider-Man. Don't worry, I'll find him. Spider-Man swung through the city looking for the crook. I'll find this green guy first. Then I'll find Mr. Osborn, said Spider-Man. Soon Spidey's spider sense led him to the villain. There's that green guy now, said Spider-Man. Hand over the money. The green man spun around and flung the wallet at Spider-Man. Keep the change, webhead, he shouted. I am the Green Goblin. With my bag of gadgets, I will take over this city, the man yelled. What is this, Halloween? Said Spidey. Trick or treat, shouted the Green Goblin as he threw pumpkin bombs. Smoke blew out of them. Hey, who turned out the lights? Said Spider-Man. He swung out of the smoke. The Goblin smoke bomb could only be made by Oscorp, Spidey said to himself. But what does that mean? If you don't like pumpkins, how about bats? Said the Goblin. He sent a robot bat flying at Spidey's face. It ripped Spider-Man's mask. Oh no, cried Spidey. The Green Goblin can see my face. Spider-Man was angry and afraid. He used the bat's sharp wings to rip the Goblin's mask, too. Spidey couldn't believe what he saw. Mr. Osborn? Cried Peter. How could you be the bad guy? And how could Peter Parker be a superhero? Said Mr. Osborn. That's a laugh. It's not funny, Mr. Osborn. Harry is worried about you, said Peter. What happened to you? In the accident at Oscorp, I was turned into the Goblin, said Mr. Osborn. I have powers I never dreamed of. Don't use your powers for evil, Mr. Osborn, said Peter. Think of all the good you can do. I'll leave that to you, do-gooder, said Mr. Osborn. Then he pulled another pumpkin bomb from his bag and threw it at Spider-Man. Spidey dove out of the smoke and tackled the Green Goblin. The Goblin fell to the ground and hit his head. I must help Mr. Osborn, said Spider-Man. I promised Harry. Spider-Man hid the Goblin costume and took Mr. Osborn to a hospital. Later, Peter and Harry went to the hospital together. Peter was worried. Would Mr. Osborn keep Peter's secret? Dad, shouted Harry. Harry, Peter, cried Mr. Osborn. What happened, Dad? Said Harry. Mr. Osborn rubbed his head. I must have lost my memory in the accident at Oscorp, said Mr. Osborn. The doctors say Spider-Man saved me. That was close, said Peter to himself. My secret is safe for another day.